Happy New Year, guys. A very warm welcome to you guys for this year. Thank you all so very much for joining me today on Martine Chiella. So today's video, I'm going to be covering a couple of points today. I'm just having a little bit of technical difficulties with my audio. That's why I've decided to come in with a voiceover. But I do hope all of you guys had an amazing holiday. 2 weeks off with your families, got a chance to eat some delicious food. But we are back at the beginning of the new year, and everybody is kickstarting their projects, their resolution, writing down their visions and their goals for the year. Let's tackle it together this year, guys. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and not waste any of your time and jump right into my 4 points that I'm going to be discussing today. Before I do so, I just have a quick question for you guys. If you could just leave me a comment down below in the description. When do you guys when is the right time to actually take down all the Christmas holiday decor? Like, I never know when to actually take all of it down. I always feel like sometimes I come in very too early, and other times I feel like I'm just a little bit late. But then again, my husband likes to have it up just so that he's able to enjoy it around his birthday time. But just let me know, guys. I'm not quite sure when is the best time. Move on from there. Okay, so I'm gonna just jump right into it right now. Okay, so the first point I'm gonna be covering is the finance one. Second one is the death. Third is dating, and fourth is mental health and wellness. Okay, those points are not in any particular order, but there's so much things to cover within each of those points, which this video is absolutely not going to do justice. I'm just kind of glazing through it, mentioning that these are the 4 points. These are the areas in terms of topics within my particular culture that are overlooked and are not really discussed, or you're not guided through these topics. So I'm going to start off with finance. I find finance is very important. It's important in any culture, but in particular in the Congolese community, the Balubas, we don't talk about money. We don't talk about money. We don't talk about what we do with our money, where we store our money. All of that lingo is foreign to those that are coming up. You are just expected to one day have a job and earn money, and you know that the money you're supposed to be earning is supposed to help you achieve to the next goal. But the problem with that is when you aren't financially literate, you are not going to be able to make the proper choices to get to the goal that you want to get to. And that is something that needs to start. That discussion surrounding money needs to start. Words like investments and other words, such as those ones, are vocabularies that need to start coming within our lingo. These are things that we need to start discussing. So another expectation within finance is caring for your extended family with that money that you are currently making. So not having the proper knowledge and the teachings in terms of how to manage what you are already earning, and having that additional cultural pressure in terms of how to allocate that money, that there is not a proper recipe. Okay, so that's something within the culture that we don't discuss, and money, it's simply off limit kind of discussion. So the second point I was just going to cover here, it just kind of segues properly into my next point, which is mental health and wellness, right? So it's one of those areas where it's something that isn't discussed. We're almost all the time expected to perform at this autopilot mode, where expressions of what's going on mentally and how things are affecting you isn't something that comes to the surface. And mental health, a lot of things can affect our mental health. Example, within that finance first point that I mentioned, with the pressure to ensure that you have the money to care for extended family, you're using the money properly, and everything that has to do with money. And especially a lot of times being the oldest within the family, that can really have a very strong effect on somebody's mental health performance wise, whether it's even just in school, and that can really trickle into other areas. There's so many areas when it comes to mental health and how people's mental health and wellness is affected, even in the area after you are married. The pressure of children and the pressure that is put on women, all of those things affect an individual's mental health. And that was one of those areas where, again, lack of discussion, lack of putting to the forefront so that people can know what is going on. So it's almost like you're blindly going through life, especially within our culture. It's one of those things that needs serious attention. I find other cultures do a very good job about bringing this up, even though they may not address it as well. But the mere fact that they've brought up that discussion is already a win. But for us not even to bring up those discussions, to bring up those feelings, whether it's about students performing in school and trying to ensure that you're always at the top of the forefront of the school and performing properly, whether it's in finance, whether it's in relationship, marriage, and all those areas. There's just so much elements and so much things that affect us mentally, and we are just expected to go on almost like a robotic state, going through motions of life. And that was one of those areas, and that's why it was very important that I put this point on this list right here as the second point. So my third point, since I've kind of touched a little bit about relationship here, is going to be that my third point is dating. So within dating, again, you are almost expected to kind of just know how it's supposed to unfold. Now, if you are a Christian, within a Muluba Christian, you have some sort of guideline. And those guidelines are stemming from your Christian faith, biblical stance. But if you are not a Christian, you're almost kind of left in the open, and you aren't given proper teachings in terms of this is how you do it. When you meet somebody, you can have a discussion and discuss, where you guys want to be and how you see things. And then the next step after that is this. It is only considered an issue when something falls out of place. And that is within any of these 4 points that I've mentioned. It becomes an issue when you haven't done the right thing. But yet, what is the right thing? How is the right way to go about any of these things here? Because they aren't taught, that we aren't talking about it, and it's just almost kind of like you ought to know. Well, these things are supposed to be taught. These things are supposed to be discussed, right? So that we know the proper way about going about it. And with dating in particular, a lot of young Congolese people, they aren't sure how to go about it. We have something where we call la dot. It's a dowry, and it has lost a lot of its meaning and value because it's been taken out of context. It hasn't been explained properly, and a lot of young people don't want to do it because it brings a level of pressure financially as well that's just not appealing anymore. And it's not that we want to put away our culture or anything like that, but the best thing to do, and to give young people a reason, to kind of like look at things from an analytical standpoint and understand things, is to teach them the right way, to teach them the proper things. And the last area I'm just probably gonna cover, not much to say about it, because I understand within some cultures, when it comes to death, it's considered a taboo to kind of like think about it that way and talk about it, things like that. Like, I get it. And I find that within our culture as well, it's kind of seen like a taboo. So people don't really discuss it like that. But I feel like it's something that's important, that at least that needs to be addressed once or twice with, if you have children, if you have a spouse, if you have family, you need to discuss something like that. And just coming up, it was one of those things where it just happens, and when it happens, people don't have the proper setup, whether it's will or finances, to care for that issue. So in different countries, example Canada, US, or any other countries, there are accounts that are available to you to transfer some sort of funds, whether it's monthly, however you set up, through your work, okay, that can go towards your life insurance and things like that, and that would be able to assist you when you do go on, to assist you and your family, so that it's easy for your family just to deal with the portion of the grieving portion of your loss, rather than also deal with an additional element of finance. Something like that can take care of your funeral arrangements. And a lot of times within my culture, it's something that isn't discussed. It's even circumstances where they would actually opt out of those things that are available through work, right? Through the different means that they're working, like the connections and things that are just available through work, resources that are available through work to set you up on a proper path. Sometimes I would find that people would opt out of it. I have had personally discussions with people that are within actual careers here in Canada that don't have those things, that don't have life insurance and things like that, but yet they have assets, they have families. There's also some sort of indifference within the family that can cause like a lot of problems and things moving forward for your family. So it's as simple as having a will. It's as simple as looking into things like life insurance, right? But again, if it's something that's a taboo, if it's something that's not discussed, and you aren't willing to discuss it with your family, you aren't willing to discuss it with external people that can assist you, professional people that can assist you with these things, then I don't know what can help in that case. So with all this to say, these 4 topics that I just brought up in this video: death, dating, finance, mental health, and wellness, these 4 points here, the summary of all of this is simply, we need to start having discussions surrounding these topics within our Congolese Muluba community, because these are areas that are lacking and are very important to really give us a head start, because other cultures are discussing it, other people are discussing it, and we don't just want to put everything in the back burner. Okay guys, so that is pretty much it for my small 4 points that I kind of want to just touch up on. I hope a lot of it made sense to you guys. If there's any comments, other points that you guys want me to discuss, hey, leave them down in the comments down below. I'll definitely be checking out those comments. I do try to answer to all the comments down below. Thank you again so very much for supporting my channel, subscribing, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye for now.